What if Jeff Hardy finally got that WWE run fans have been begging for? But instead of the beloved hero, we saw a never-before-seen villainous enigma. That's the scenario we're exploring today, using WWE 2K25 Universe mode. We were all set for the Money in the Bank ladder match with the competitors already in the ring, awaiting the final entrant, when the cameras suddenly cut to the parking lot. That's where we saw it. Randy Orton down on the pavement, having been run down like a scolded dog. Backstage, the scene was absolute bedlam. WWE management were scrambling to find a replacement, but they were desperately short on talent that night due to travel issues. Then, in one of the most surreal moments in recent memory, SmackDown GM Nick Aldis spotted a familiar face wandering the corridors. Jeff Hardy, not signed to WWE at the time, in the building for media duties alongside a group of TNA talent thanks to their working relationship with NXT, was right there. Aldis made the call on the spot. No contracts or negotiations, just pure instinct. He offered Hardy the chance of a lifetime. Step in, right now, in front of a sold-out crowd, for one more run out in front of the WWE Universe. Jeff didn't hesitate for a second. Moments later, Hardy's music hit, and the reaction from the crowd was thunderous. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was history being rewritten in real time. What followed was nothing short of storybook. Against all odds, and after years away from the WWE spotlight, Jeff Hardy entered that Money in the Bank match with no preparation or game plan, and somehow outlasted everybody. Ladder after ladder, crash after crash, Hardy fought like a man possessed, and then it happened. The arena went into a frenzy. Grown adults were on their feet, screaming like it was 2008 all over again. But as Jeff stood on top of the ladder, there was one undeniable feeling lingering in the air: confusion. Hardy wasn't even signed to WWE before that night. How did this work? Was this a one-night deal? Could he even cash in? Or had Nick Aldis just pulled off the wildest piece of business in wrestling history? Nobody knew. And that's exactly why this night became one of the most talked about moments in recent WWE memory. The next week on SmackDown, the WWE Universe got their answer, and what an answer it was. Jeff Hardy walked out to his classic No More Words theme song, clutching the Money in the Bank briefcase like it was a second chance at life. In the ring, Jeff took a moment to thank Nick Aldis for the opportunity, admitting that without that split-second decision, he'd still be backstage doing media for TNA instead of standing there as Mr. Money in the Bank. He revealed that Triple H had offered him a short-term deal to appear in the company, a one-time offer that would let him step back onto the grand stage, but with a catch. Jeff made it clear he wasn't here to cheap shot a champion. No cash-ins after someone else did the hard work. This was about redemption and writing his own ending. That's why he was officially announcing that he was cashing in his Money in the Bank for a match against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. He explained that this gave WWE and TNA the breathing room to make the deal happen without as much red tape, and more importantly, it gave him the shot he'd dreamed of for decades. Cody Rhodes' music hit. The champion walked down the ramp with a look of satisfaction on his face. He slid into the ring, eyes locked on the legendary Jeff Hardy. Cody glanced at the briefcase, adjusted the undisputed title on his shoulder, and offered his hand, and Jeff took it. The building erupted. The hard cam caught the shot that defined the segment. The handshake centered, the briefcase in the foreground. There was no thoughts of an ambush from either man, just respect. And in an era of shortcuts, this was a pledge. The road to WrestleMania is officially underway. Later that night, the main event carried a very different kind of tension. Cody Rhodes was set to face Logan Paul, and while no championships were on the line, pride and ego absolutely were. Earlier in the night, the two had a heated run-in backstage that ended with Logan, never one to miss an opportunity for self-promotion, throwing out a challenge. The stakes: if Logan could defeat Cody, the Cody's iconic Nightmare Express tour bus would be rebranded as the Prime Express. It was classic Logan Paul, turning a personal grudge into a marketing spectacle for his brand. Cody, never one to back down from a dare, accepted on the challenge. Under the bright lights of SmackDown, we got Rhodes versus Paul. From the opening bell, Logan showed he wasn't just here for clicks. He pushed Cody harder than anyone expected, using his athleticism and confidence to frustrate the champion. But every time Logan got too cocky, Cody made him pay. The crowd rallied behind Rhodes, not just because they didn't want to see his bus turned into a rolling energy drink ad, but because they knew this was about sending a message ahead of WrestleMania that the champion was not going to be embarrassed by anybody. By the closing stretch, both men were throwing everything they had. The Prime Express dream looked alive for a second, until Cody caught Logan with a perfectly timed crossroads for the decisive win. The Nightmare Express was safe, for now. The celebration didn't last long. As Cody stood to soak it in, Logan Paul slid back in from behind, clutching a Prime bottle like a devastating tool. One cheap shot later, the champion was down and clutching his head. The boos rained down, and then they turned to cheers in an instant. Jeff Hardy hit the ramp at full speed, sliding into the ring. Logan turned just in time to eat a twist of fate. Jeff didn't pose, didn't grandstand. He immediately knelt beside Cody, helping the champion to his feet, making sure he was okay. Logan Paul staggered up up the aisle, clutching his jaw, glaring back at the ring. Inside, Cody and Jeff shared a brief nod. Respect, solidarity, and maybe the smallest hint that, come WrestleMania, they'd be standing on opposite sides of a very different moment. The following week, the show opened with the undisputed champion himself. Cody Rhodes stepped into the ring, the crowd singing along to his theme before quieting for his words. He began by thanking Jeff Hardy, not just for the save last week, but for the way Jeff had carried himself since stepping back into WWE. Cody called their upcoming clash at WrestleMania, possibly the most respectable main event in WrestleMania history. But then, Cody's tone changed. Respect was great, but WrestleMania was about spectacle, about moments people would remember forever. He admitted the match might need a little extra spice, and he wanted Jeff's input on what that should be. The fans didn't have to wait long. No more words hit, and Hardy made his way to the ring, mic in hand. He smiled at Cody, almost laughing to himself before leaning in and saying, "Cody, I know exactly what this needs. I'm glad you ran this by me." Then Jeff's voice hardened, his eyes lighting up like the daredevil of old. Tables, ladders, and chairs. The crowd lost it. Cody just grinned, nodding slowly, already imagining the chaos. In one sentence, Jeff Hardy had turned a respectful dream match into a certified WrestleMania war. The arena was still frantic from the TLC declaration when the atmosphere changed dramatically. The Titantron flickered, revealing SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis in his office, a serious look on his face. He said he had a breaking announcement, something that could completely change the tone of WrestleMania. Aldis explained that new CCTV footage had been uncovered from the night Randy Orton was run down, an incident that had been clouded in mystery for weeks. He claimed a new camera angle finally revealed the culprit, and that it wasn't who they initially thought it was. The feed cut to grainy, zoomed-in parking lot footage. The crowd went silent, and then, there it was, clear as day, behind the wheel, Jeff Hardy. Gasps filled the arena. Cody stood frozen in the ring, his face cycling through disbelief and confusion. He slowly turned toward Jeff, searching for answers, but all he got was a steel chair hurled towards his cranium. Before Cody could react, Jeff hooked him and drove him face first into the mat with a twist of fate. The crowd's cheers from moments ago had twisted into a storm of boos and shock. The main event didn't calm anything down. Jeff Hardy faced Rey Mysterio, and after a hard-fought sprint, put Rey away clean. But the victory wasn't enough. Jeff snapped, blasting Rey after the bell, dragging him to the announce desk and laying him out across the table. He set up a ladder, one last insult before the Swanton. Before he could fly, Cody Rhodes sprinted down the ramp. He hit the ring like a thunderbolt and went straight for Hardy. The two traded shots in a furious brawl, the ladder clattering to the floor as officials scrambled. Jeff bailed, hopping the barricade and disappearing into the crowd with that cold smirk, leaving Cody seething in the ring and Rey shaken at ringside. From there, the weeks only got darker. Jeff Hardy leaned into the villain, trading his cartoon-like mannerisms for thousand-yard stares and razor-edged promos. He stopped apologizing or even caring about the fans. But that didn't stop the viral moments pushing Hardy's merchandise to the top of the WWE shop rankings. By the time WrestleMania week arrived, the tone had flipped completely. What started as the most respectful main event on paper had curdled into a dark reckoning. The crowd no longer hummed along to nostalgia. They booed a man who'd embraced the fall. Hardy wasn't chasing redemption anymore. He was daring Cody Rhodes to survive TLC. WrestleMania felt like the end of a long fuse finally hitting the dynamite. Cody Rhodes versus Jeff Hardy, undisputed title on the line, TLC rules. The perfect stage for a rivalry that started with a parking lot rundown and spiraled into an outright reckless confrontation. And parlaying that win into the main event went down as one of the coldest gambles we've ever seen in professional wrestling. The match became a car crash you couldn't look away from, with Jeff taking every opportunity to steal the show with high-risk dives. WrestleMania's TLC main event flipped on a dime in the final minute. Cody had fought through everything to claw his way up the ladder, fingertips brushing the undisputed title. The stadium was ready to go berserk, and then the camera caught movement at ringside. A hooded figure slid in, steadied the base, and shoved. Cody crashed backward with a sickening thud. The hood came down. It was WWE Hall of Famer Lita. With Rhodes wrecked and officials stunned, Jeff Hardy scrambled up the ladder, reached to the rafters, and unhooked the championship. The bell rang. Jeff Hardy, the architect of the hit and run, the opportunist who turned Money in the Bank into a golden ticket, had just finished the plan on the grandest stage, thanks to an assist from a Team Extreme original. On the SmackDown after WrestleMania, the new undisputed champion made his way to the ring. The boos drowned out the music, but Jeff didn't flinch. He set the title down and instead focused on a velvet-covered podium mid-ring and took the mic. He said the belt on that stand represented Roman Reigns, a championship unveiled in Reigns' image, and that didn't sit right with him. New champion, new era, Jeff said. "This isn't Roman's story anymore." Then he grabbed the drape and yanked it away. The crowd gasped. Jeff's custom championship gleamed under the lights. While Jeff declared the Roman era officially over, "This is the era of the extreme enigma," he said, promising anyone who wanted the throne would have to climb through tables, ladders, and chairs just to touch it. Just when Jeff thought he'd reset the universe, the past roared back. As he lifted the new custom title, the man Hardy ran down to start this whole saga. The pop was ballistic, hit the ring like a rocket, and leveled Jeff with a clothesline that sent the new champion spilling to the floor. In the chaos, Randy Orton spotted the original undisputed championship, the belt Jeff had tossed aside. He picked it up, Jeff seething on the outside, clutching his vanity belt. Hardy pointed from the aisle, screaming that this was his era now. Orton just smirked and tapped the faceplate, staking a claim the crowd was already behind. 2 belts, 1 champion, and a debt that hadn't been paid.